What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Michelle Renee from IamMichelleRenee.com. And today I have an amazing special guest, an author, y'all. You know we love Black authors. But what makes this one even more special is that she's a Black author from Mississippi. So
Yes,
welcome, welcome, welcome.
yes,
Tell
yes.
everybody
Thank
who
you
you
for
are,
having me.
where you're from, and what your brand is.
Okay. So my name is Ebony Palmer. I am born and bred, as Michelle said, Jackson, Mississippi. That is home. I currently reside in Dallas, Texas, where my writing career actually began. Basically, I'm an educator by career. I started here right in Jackson, Mississippi, in the school district that basically bred me, made me who I am, Jackson Public Schools. And then I switched over in 2013 to Dallas. And so that created, like I said, that started my way to writing. And so as of right now, just promoting some work behind the scenes of education. My series is called Bad Apple. And if I have to put it in a gist, it is a series that sheds light on the dark side of education. That's how I tell people all the time. It's a trilogy.
Yes.
It's a trilogy. It's fictional, very fictional, not nothing based on any co-workers or teachers I've had previously in my
Yes.
life.
You got to get that
But
disclaimer too, because trust me, this
yes,
book gets you in there, baby. Yes.
absolutely. And I make sure I tell all my previous co-workers, this is not about you. Trust me, orange is not the new black in my eyes. I do not want to go to jail. I don't want to have anybody trying to sue me. So I just made everything very fictional. But it is a series that spans the entire school year, so fall, spring, and summer semesters, and it unfolds the unfortunate death of Assistant Principal Hotchkiss, who is murdered towards the end of the first installation. Part two unfolds a little bit more, reveals a little bit more breadcrumbs about her murder. And then, of course, three, it concludes with the murder being revealed and tying up loose strings from part one and part two. You was actually like paying attention during the readings. Like I left little nuggets along the way, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot that in part one and part two." So part three basically ties up
Listen.
loose ends and reveals the murderer.
So the Bad Apple series, is this
Yes,
your first attempt as at a book ever?
yes, ma'am. It is.
It does not read like that. And I kudos to you because as I'm reading the book, and I'm an educator by trade, so I don't read like most people read. When I read a book and I go through, I go back and reread because I'm like, what does the author really want me to pay attention to in this? So I read it, then I go back and I'm like, okay, this is what I got from this. Let me take this little nugget. And so the ELA, English Language Arts educator in me really likes to unfold and foreshadow and to highlight. So I'm reading this and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is about to get juicy. And then as things happen, I'm going, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Like you have kept me on my toes this entire series. I'm only in book one, y'all. But trust and believe, I don't like to wait. Your girl got the rest of the collection, just waiting. So as soon as I finish, I can complete the trilogy. I love it. Tell me about how did you know that you wanted to get into writing? Like, how did you know that this was your special gift? Like, have you always been a writer? Have you always like jumped into it, or were you like, you know what, God has given me something special, and I'm gonna manifest it? How did we get here? Help me.
Okay, so I feel like you hit on so many different things I never really just actually tapped on myself. But I knew, first of all, to give all honor to God, it really was His project. So I'm just the conduit, the vessel that He chose, and I'm thankful for such a great task. I ran for it for a very long time. To kind of piggyback on what you stated earlier, by trade, I'm an ELAR teacher. I taught middle school English, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. So the ability to break down the story the same way you do, I mean, that's like breathing for me. I'm
Yeah.
so not engulfed in something, I'm engulfed in something. And so much like you, I would go back, reread, star something, underline, circle. So we have some of the same like ways of really like breaking down literature when we're reading. But as far as like if it's something I always knew I wanted to do, no. Like I said, if it's something I had ran from, kind of spanning back to like maybe 2011, 2012, absolutely. This has been on my heart for a long time, and I ran from it. It's sometimes some things are a little easier to tackle when God puts you on assignment versus some things you're like, that don't make sense. Like it means I have to put my voice out there.
Absolutely.
That means I have
It
to.
means I have to be vulnerable and accept criticism, right?
Yes,
And sometimes we just don't want that.
And I have to also be more visible. Like I love flying underneath the radar. I feel like it's where the drama does not exist. So my life is just cool sailing. And I think he just wanted to rock some things up, like shake some stuff up within me. And so in my opinion, I feel like everything you said as far as like how do we get here, like it was some of everything. I didn't know I could. Now I would tell you this fair in all fairness. Can I be very extra? Absolutely. It's like breathing to me. My friends would tell me in high second you're a drama queen.
I mean, it does happen that you also happen to be one of my lovely sorors. So we do extra very well.
I mean, it's like breathing, right?
This is what we do.
But no, seriously. So I give something that I felt like that was so normal to me to be a drama queen, to be so extra, actually became like a gift that, I downplayed, like, because in my mind, creating those stories, that was really time where I actually sat down and things just kind of like came out of me. Like it would be surprised like how many pages I can get done within 6 or 7 hours because it's just spewing out, and I honestly would tell people all the time, I didn't do it alone. Seriously, like not to be totally religious or overly like, Christian fanatic, so to speak, but I know who I am. I know whose I am.
Right.
I know for a fact that when I'm during those books, he was totally right there with me. Like those words were spewing out right, through me. So I'm thankful for that, but the extraness, the ability to teach Elar, all of that, I feel like it was all encompassed to a bigger plan he always had for me.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So tell everybody like where you got this idea to take what you're in every day, which is education, and make that the basis of your characters. What motivated you to do it this way?
So some people may be familiar, you may be as well, the Atlantic public school system when they had that big scandal, that cheating scandal.
Yeah.
I thought it was, now don't get me wrong, I'm never justifying cheating at all. Like it's just not something, I mean, I feel like, you're doing the kids a disservice in some shape, form, or fashion with it. So I didn't support the act in a sense, but I was very like, I found myself getting like very like offended in a sense, as if I was on trial about the criticism that everybody was giving educators. Oh, I wouldn't do this. Oh, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. I wish a principal would. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, I have no idea what goes on behind those closed doors. Like you send your babies within those doors, they are closed, and you have no idea what is shielded from you or certain things that teachers actually endure, but we just kind of keep a smile on our faces just to save face. Now, is it right or wrong? It's contingent upon the person itself, but I realized that those people felt some type of pressure, to indulge into the behavior. And, unfortunately, it rendered, job loss. So of course, some of them serve prison time and so forth. And it happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do was with Bad Apple was like, for real, tell that story, like give that narrative, like, you do understand that some things happen behind closed doors. You're picking your kids up, you're dropping them off, but in the midst of all this, these teachers are still like real. They're real people.
They're people. Like I think people forget that teachers are people.
Like there's this perfectionism that comes with police officers, teachers, pastors, and so forth. Like we are the only ones that cannot have a speck, on our resume, our behavior has to be so pristine and so forth, and that's just not what it is. What I wanted to reveal about this whole series that these people are just that people. And they are just as plain Jane as the next one or any John Smith that you may endure, right? So I think for me, I wanted to tell a narrative that actually exposed, like the true life behind the scenes of a teacher, things that can go on inside the classroom. That's why I talked about the cheating. That's why I talked about other scandalous behavior. I even mentioned the death, so like I said, the series definitely just sheds light on the dark side of education.
Absolutely. How long did it take you to birth these books and get them out of you?
So the first book was probably the longest one because that is the one that kind of like started it all.
Yeah.
So 17, I for sure sat down. And then I have accountability partners who are looking at me like, yeah, so where we at now? And I knew I couldn't really run from them any longer, and I really couldn't run from God any longer. So I mean, 18, I gave pretty much my entire, the bulk of the year, at least about 10 months to the first book. December, I found myself wrapping things up, and then of course the editing process and so forth. So the first book, 10 months. Book two, so that, because the first book was actually done in 2018, but it was published in 2019. Book two, probably probably about the same amount of time. I'll give it, if not 10 months, I definitely give it between 8 to 10 months.
Yeah.
And the editing process was a little better that time around because I actually had a friend to kind of like comb through it with me as I went through the process. Now, book 3 is that is like the golden child, if you ask me. The pandemic hit last year.
Yeah.
Book 2 was published in February of 2020, but that pandemic hit like right after I had my first book signed in Jackson. Like they shut everything down. Life as we knew it, just basically changed right before our eyes. And about March or April of last year, I got the voice saying, sit down, let's get this book done. And about August, it was done.
Wow. So
Yeah.
the third book was the fastest one you'd ever done.
That's my golden child because I literally couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. So there was no distractions. I could talk to friends via Zoom and everything else. But, most people don't understand, like most nights I would come home from work. I would take a bath, kind of take my second breath, so to speak. By 7, I'm sitting down and I'm writing, and I probably would not stop writing till about midnight or 1 o'clock that morning. And it was almost a schedule every night. That was like really me giving my
until
all.
you got it out of you.
So I got it out of me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was a discipline and a sacrifice unlike any other, in a sense. Like there was no new series I was watching on Netflix. When people were having conversations about certain things, I was rolling my eyes. I'm like, I don't want to hear about it because I have to really tune all that out when I'm writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So as you can see, it varies from each book, but that third one, I had time. What were we doing? We weren't going anywhere.
I got time today. I love it. Now, are you self-published?
Yes, I went through Amazon, so that's why my books are only available through Amazon. But this year, I'm trying to really like build everything up a little bit more. Amazon was just it's easier when you don't want to put up any type of cost up front. They basically take theirs on the back end, and then they give you yours once they get done with their part. So that was like the easiest part, but I definitely trying to switch up. I really would love a whole publisher or somebody to grab everything up, especially the next ones I'm trying to produce. But as of right now, they're only available via Amazon. They call it the KDP process.
Now, tell everybody if you could give advice to a young writer, a young Black writer, female, who's trying to break into this journey, who has a story in them that they're just burning to tell, what would you tell them to do to go about making this happen? How would you feed the next woman who's trying to make this name for herself as an author?
So it's so funny that you say that because I am on this mission this year to really help any and everybody that wants to write. So it's amazing how many people have came to me and say, hey, I want to be a writer. So now I'm like, okay, so when we getting started? So if anybody wants to get the ball rolling, the first thing I would tell you to do is write. Like I just did a checklist of like what to do to kind of publish your first book. And the first thing I say is finish your book. Don't worry about the perfectionism that comes with it or anything like that, because there's no such thing. It's going to go through several different edits, different processes, different versions. I had 5 ends to the first story before I actually like chose the fact that she died at the end. Right, there's nothing wrong with that. So don't worry about being totally perfect. Be open to the criticism, and everybody will have something to say about it. You're not going to please everyone. It's not even about doing that. If it's in your heart and it's a passion that you have, or it's something that you really want to do for yourself, don't worry about the outside noise. Just focus solely on what you can control, which is your writing. So get the book out, make yourself happy, make sure that you smile when you look at the book. Don't worry about the customer. Make sure that you smile, because this is your
you're proud of it.
This is like I always get like my friend, I'm at her house right now, and she has all 3 of my books, and I get chills sometimes. Like, I mean, I know her, she's an awesome girl, and she doesn't have to necessarily support me, but it does bring something to me that these are my babies. This is my work. So I would definitely tell any newcomer out there, just focus on, find your voice. Make sure that you are confident within your own lane. Don't worry about perfectionism, and just get the book done. And
Ebony, you are Black girl magic. Like, you are the personification of Black girl magic. I absolutely love it. Oh my God, you have such a beautiful presence. Everything about you is so beautiful that it makes a person say, okay, I want to be in her space. I want to know what she's doing. I want to share what she's sharing. Like, I want all of it. So I think that's so amazing. Tell people how they can follow you on social media. How do we get in touch with you? How do we learn more about Bad Apple?
Okay. Well, first of all, let me tell you, you are Black Girl Magic as well. Like,
Thank
seriously,
you.
just following you, and I recognize, like, dang, I knew her in high school. But I didn't know she was
Yes.
like this. So, like, I mean, I knew I was a little bit younger, but, to me, I was the big kids and I was a little freshman or whatever. But anyway, I digress. Like, even what you're doing, like promoting, like, the Black voice and even just women just being dope. I think it's amazing. I wish you
Thank
nothing but
you.
the best along the way.
Thank
And thank you
you.
for even giving me this time. But as far as following me on social media, I don't have no special name, guys. I'm just Ebony Palmer. So on Facebook, I'm just Ebony Palmer. I have on
You're
Facebook as
not
well,
just Ebony Palmer, you're the Ebony Palmer.
the Ebony Palmer. Come on now. Let me change up my whole persona then. The Ebony.
Yes.
Also on Facebook is the Bad Apple Series fan club, so everybody can keep up with updates about what's to come, which I have some things kind of cooking right about now. I can't wait to share that with you as well. On Instagram,
Yes.
my main profile page that mimics the Ebony Palmer page is Ebony Roche. If you want to follow me on Instagram and specifically get updates about the book, I also share on that page, but on this particular page, Ebony Describer, I get a little bit more in details about what's happening with my book, any announcements about interviews, like what I'm doing right now, any upcoming events, I post on that page. And I also do daily affirmations too.
Yes, you
So
do.
for people that I don't know. I feel like that's also my gift. I like to just make people just feel great or feel good or inspire and encourage. So that's the cheerleader in me. Woo woo.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's on Instagram. And if you are following Vocal, which is a literary platform, you can find Ebony R. Palmer on there as well. So I have various outlets. My website is Evanflow Works. Um, you can follow me there. So I have various ways contingent upon what everybody likes to follow. So people like websites, you can subscribe to that site. You can subscribe to my Instagram page or even Facebook. You can find me.
I absolutely love it. What's something that people may not know about you that you would want them to know about you as the person and as the writer?
Okay. So right now I'm on this whole, I think I'm on several missions right now. So right now I'm heavily within promoting like mental health therapy
Yes.
within our community. If everybody goes back to my Facebook page or even go to my Vocal article out there, I talk about my trip to the couch. So right now, like anybody that will listen, if you want to talk about writing a book or if anything that you're going through, it's like personally, I always tell people now, like, go to therapy. I seriously would tell any and everybody it's been the best thing that happened to me. I started in December 2016, and it's no different than going to get, a haircut at this point right now. It's so, it's like breathing. So
Yeah.
for me, if anybody else, like right now, that my narrative, my mission, my vision, even in my upcoming literary works, I am definitely promoting, therapy and counseling within the Black community, changing that narrative,
Absolutely.
changing that stigma, because it really is like truly the best thing I've ever done. And I've like invested within with myself. And to be honest, I mean, I know people, we pray or whatever your religion, whatever your practice
But
may
you
be,
can do
that's
both.
fine, but you can do both. I
Yes.
tell people all the time, my whole tagline is God created everything good under the sun. And therapy is like one of the greatest things, like the best things he ever created. So indulge in it. You'll definitely do yourself a favor and your body will appreciate it from like head to toe, seriously.
Absolutely. I love that because that is such a critical point that so many of us need. I
Yeah,
know we'll be talking mental health on the Tribe of Dope Black Women often because that's something that's really important. But I'm so grateful that you are using your platform to share even a more important message. Like I can entertain you, but I also can educate you and enlighten you to
absolutely.
be your best self because there's nothing worse than a person reading your book and seeing themselves in a character but not knowing how they can unpack that. So that
Absolutely.
encouragement is so so powerful. All right, I got one more question for you.
Sure.
But this is my doozy. This is my question I have to ask every dope Black woman that I interview, and that is, what is one word that affirms who you are?
Blessed.
Bless. Tell us why.
To be honest, to even watch myself morph into the woman I've become because of the fact that, again, not just trying to be this religious fanatic, but I really can't sit right here and not tell my story and not include what I've been through. I know the struggles I endured, when I was younger. I know the problems I endured as being a young woman in her 20s. And I know why I have arrived right now being 36 years old. And I can only look at it as just being totally blessed because I can look back on those moments where I was totally broken in a sense and I see that I'm totally healed or I'm still on a
Mm,
healed path. So that's a blessing within itself. Like everybody truly can't say that, you know, like I think we all put on, some people just put on facades, and I was one of them. And I can speak to that like wholeheartedly. Like I put on several facades, like everything was just fine and dandy, and it really wasn't. So to look back and recognize like, whew, that was me, and not even being ashamed of it. Like that's a blessing within itself too, because I know for a fact from which I come from, and to see
Yes.
right now where I'm at, and I know for a fact like it's so much more to come. Like he's just getting started, because he's been waiting for me to get to this moment. He's been waiting for me to really depend on him wholeheartedly, to like be obedient in a sense. So right now I'm just totally blessed. I'm right here in this element, in this space right now with you, being able to tell my story. And I got 3 whole babies behind me, 3 babies,
Yes,
you
you
know.
do. You
I have
have
3,
birthed 3 babies.
I have birthed 3 babies. So life is future. And Drake says, life is good. I'm blessed.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Y'all, she is such a vibe. This is her all day, every day. Please make sure you go follow, subscribe to the webpage, go check out the books. You will not be disappointed. It has truly been everything that I've needed in the midst of everything that's going on. So I'm so grateful for your time. I'm so
Thank
proud of what
you.
you're doing. Thank you for being such a dope Black woman and a
Thank
dope Black
you.
author. Everybody check out what she has going on, and be sure to be on the lookout for a next series, because I heard that. I did catch that. It's a new series in the
I,
making.
I
I
could
caught
I
that.
could I could throw out just a little hint right now so they know what to look forward to.
Please, yes.
Just a little hint. So first of all, I am working on translating these books into screenplays, because I definitely want these to go to TV.
Yes.
So yes, I definitely want that. But in the meantime, until Issa or Shonda or Tyler call me, because they're gonna call,
Yes. We
I'm
speaking
going
that
to
all in existence. We putting that in the
listen. It's
atmosphere. Yes.
exactly. So as of right now, I'm going to do spinoffs. So if you're familiar with Bella in her work,
Mm-hmm.
where she moonlights as, I'm going to go a little bit more erotica and tell a little bit more about her story and how she kind of basically takes that job full on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm going to switch it more kid friendly, because I love Dorian. He's like one of
Yes,
my
me
favorites.
too.
He like my whole goal was for everybody to like be won over by Dorian,
Yeah.
because that's the focus of our business, right? They're the customer.
Yeah.
They get all of our
Yeah.
attention. They deserve.
Yeah.
They're the ones that we supposed to uplift, right? It's
He's
all about
so
our mission.
funny. Oh my God.
But doesn't he remind you of a student you taught before?
Several.
Yes. So
Several.
seriously,
I was
see,
like,
so
oh my gosh, are they for real?
most
But
of
it
my
lets you know that
coworkers,
we all get the same ones.
everybody knows, like most of my coworkers from past, they was like, is this such and such? I was like, it's not one particular student. It's a makeup of a lot of students. They're like my right
All of
hand
them.
man. So
Yes.
so Dorian is just like my baby, but I want to go more kid friendly. When you get to book 3, you're gonna see that Dorian endures some racial injustice. And so he also goes to Mississippi to visit family.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm going to, it's going to be like the people are going to have to be a little bit more familiar with the Bad Apple series in order to enjoy the spinoffs, because I
Yeah.
want them to be
Yeah.
rooted within both of their storylines, Bella and Dorian's, so they can understand like why they're in the predicament that they're in. Again, in the midst of those stories, promoting them both of them going to therapy and telling them about their
I
situations.
love it.
Yeah.
That is
So
so
that's
amazing, Ebony.
just a little bit. I'm taking 2021 off now, guys. I did 3 books in 2 years, 2.5 years. I'm a little
Yes,
burnt
you
out,
did.
just a smidget.
Yes, you
But
did. I don't believe that though. I think you're taking a part of 2021 off. I don't see it because it's already in you and it's already
yeah.
bubbling out.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like when that next wave hits, you're gonna knock them out and they're gonna blow our socks off.
I tell you right now, if Biden and Harris tells us to sit down, or they take it back down to that phase 1 situation where we can't go anywhere, I won't be surprised if my mind says, all right, let's go. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a treat to really challenge myself to create 2 books at once, but I think I can do it. I think I really can.
You
So
absolutely can. You
yeah,
absolutely can. I'm so
that's
proud
it.
of you. I'm so
Thank
honored to have
you.
spent this time with you because I'm catching you on the rise, honey. So people be like, oh yeah, I already interviewed her. What are you talking about?
Listen, when I hit that pinnacle, I'm coming back to you even when that, because this right here, this is homegrown. It's very awesome to be a part of what you're doing, because I know, like I know you. It's one
Yes.
thing when somebody reaches out and say, "Hey, I'm such from Vibe magazine." You see what I just did there, Vibe magazine.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but I know you. So this has been very special. It's been good to reconnect. I can't wait to see the great things that you do when you become your
Thank
talk host.
you.
It's gonna be talk show host. You're gonna be great. It's just gonna be awesome. So
Thank you
I can't wait to see
so
everything manifest the way
much.
it
Thank
does.
you for speaking life over me. I appreciate that
Absolutely.
so much. Y'all, she is just
Absolutely.
as dope as you think, and these books are even doper. So make sure you go and check them out. Follow her on Facebook, Instagram, and put this in your cart. Like, we buying stuff from Amazon every day. Put this in your cart because you are not going to want to miss that. Ebony, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed the interview.
Absolutely.